Hey everybody, it's Judah and Katie here to talk about day 2 of our Washington trip. But we did forget to mention about our first day when we were heading to our campsite that we did in fact stop at 3 grocery stores to try to find supplies. We stopped at Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's.
I've never been a fan of Trader Joe's. Katie is familiar. You've got a few things.
Yeah.
There was just 2 doors down. Well, the funny thing was you asked the cashier lady if she knew of any good pizza places, and she was like, yeah, I know there's tons of them around here, I just can't think of any. In that same strip mall we walked down,
Well, it must not have been good.
2 doors down there was a pizza place, but yeah, as Katie said, must not have been good. So there is another store in that same strip mall that's kind of like a Whole Foods. So we went there. Again, it was too hoity-toity for me. I did get some soup. Katie stocked up. We got pizza. And then we finally found a low-class grocery store that serves the subpar filled with all kinds of grossness like high fructose corn syrup and red number 5 that I could possibly want. That's where I stocked up.
Yeah, it's true. It was called Grocery Outlet. Isn't that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Grocery Outlet was a real treasure, I feel.
I agree.
They had a lot of strange things. They had a range of... It was kind of like a superstore, but it wasn't, you know?
A very compact superstore.
But they had T-shirts, branded Grocery Outlet T-shirts with their little truck on it. And I thought that was a...
Oh yeah, they had a K truck out front.
Find. Yeah, I had a little... I feel like I got a little burst of energy when I walked into that store.
Sure did.
I was like, look at this place.
I was just glad I finally found a grocery store that like knew me. Knew what I wanted. I wanted Lay's potato chips, V8, and freaking Pop-Tarts. They had them all. So, day 2, we started off a little bit later than we did the day before, but we headed to Chom's gas station. I know it's grocery and hardware supplies, but that's where we got our gas. We stopped there again. Katie went to the little coffee hut. When she was waiting in line, I decided to check out Chom's.
I got an Americano. I had to wait a really long time.
It was packed.
It was pretty decent, but it was like they were taking drive-in, like it was a drive-through, but there were also people standing in line, so it took forever. There was only one
lady
person in there rushing around like toasting bagels.
Yeah. So I went into Chom's, checked it out. It's basically just a gas station with a back room that has a bunch of hardware supply. But as I was in there, I overheard the cashier and what I can only assume is a regular talking about some of the news around town or the concerns that they have. And it kind of went like this. I sure hope the restaurant opens tonight. You're telling me. Okay, bye. I rushed out to tell Katie this important intel. And she was like, I wonder what restaurant. Not because she's silly, but I can only assume that it's the one directly across the street that has the 4-foot by 20-foot sign that just says restaurant. But it also has a name. What is this name?
Mondo's or something.
Mondo's.
But there were multiple restaurants, but they all appeared to be closed.
Yes.
Forever.
But this is the only one that had the biggest life sign that just says restaurant.
It's true.
And we can deliver that very night when we came back, restaurant or Mondo's was indeed open. So rest assured, those 2 guys were no longer fearing because it was open.
Yeah, I still need to look up the menu.
Are we going to do that?
Might as well just take a peek.
That's true. I probably won't eat there. I decided to check out the bulletin board at Chom's just to immerse myself into local culture, kind of see what was going on. And I found a handwritten note by Butch. It said handyman and more. Listed was tree pruning, bicycle fixing, animal care, and wedding officiation. Now, the wedding thing is just a side gig. His true passion is tree pruning, just so you know. He did leave his phone number. I'll put that up in case you're in the Washington area. You might want to reach out to Butch. Maybe get something.
I'm thinking that he didn't list all the extra things that he had available.
I would agree. He probably some hidden talents in there that he didn't want to list per se for everybody to see.
Balloon animals.
Exactly. It seemed like it.
Juggling.
juggling.
Dirty stuff, probably a lot of dirty stuff, foot stuff.
As a handyman, you often have to get into dirty stuff. Okay. So then we went to our first trail. We were kind of just driving, and I was like, hey, Katie, there's the Ross Dam Trail. I don't know what it was called.
Didn't we do the Diablo Overlook first?
We did do the Diablo Overlook first.
And it will Diablo your mind. It was a nice view.
That's all her.
It was a lovely view. No hike though.
It was just a pull off, but it was very beautiful. Now that you mention that, I forgot that. We got some great photos there. Okay, then we went to Ross Dam.
That's true.
This is the first time we got to interact with a small waterfall. We took some fun photos there. Mm-hmm. And for me, this was the first time I was kind of like, okay, cool. We're getting into some good trails now. The first day was kind of like whatever. I did like what was it, the ladder?
Trail of the Cedars. Oh, the Ladder Creek Falls.
Yeah, Ladder Creek Falls. I did like that. That was okay. But this one really pulled me in. This is really what I'm kind of looking for. We did that, went down to the dam, and I actually appreciated looking at it. Made it to the dam. This is Ross Dam down here. There we go, people. That's the dam.
The dam it's massive and it looks very impressive.
It is.
And the shape of it, I don't know. It is.
It's big.
Kind of big. Wow. You're like, what the? Look at that.
And
we got on top of it.
Yes, we did. We walked it.
We rode that dam.
Damn right. Mm-hmm. This was our first encounter with any kind of wildlife that is unusual to us.
Oh
yeah. We didn't know what they're called. We were calling them mountain hamsters, but in fact, I said that I thought that they were called pikas, and Katie looked it up, and they are indeed called pikas.
They're just like a little bigger than a hamster, but they have pretty big ears. And I mean, the one I saw was very fierce.
Yes.
It popped out of its hole, and it screamed at me. It was like, squeak!
You said they're part of the rabbit family?
Yeah. I think they're closer to a rabbit than a hamster.
But they are very small. They are quite cute. They do have big ears, and they have these little teeny tails. Anyway, so we did that trail. I enjoyed that. Then we headed off to Cutthroat.
Yeah.
Which part of some of the information we read, somebody wrote that the coolest part to the Cutthroat Trail were the wooden bridges you have to cross the water on. I don't think so. We got to them, and I was like, if this is the best part of this trail, then this is going to be very lame. Well, one review of Cutthroat Trail said that the wooden bridges that you have to cross are the coolest thing about the trail. If this is what they're talking about, if these are the wooden bridges, and this is the coolest part about the trail, we are in trouble. Yay! I honestly don't remember anything about the trail, and the only reason I remember the bridges is because it was mentioned, but the end was so breathtaking.
It was beautiful.
In my opinion. Mm-hmm. We took some really cool photos.
There were a lot of bugs, though.
There was a lot of bugs. Mm-hmm. There's a couple girls that decided to go swimming. They were clearly having a ton of fun. They swam out to these big rocks in the center of this little lake.
They were jumping off them.
And they were jumping off of them. I was jealous, but I was not prepared to go swimming. And it did sound like it was very cold, because whenever they jumped in, you could tell that it kind of took their breath away from the way that they're... Didn't it sound like that?
Yeah, I think so.
But they were having fun. It was so beautiful. I wasn't expecting much from this, but when we got to that end, and just seeing that lake just surrounded by those mountains, it was incredible in my opinion. So those were two winter trails for me. The mileage tallied up to 6 miles, and I know that my feet kind of like 6 miles is almost the max. I can probably push it to 7 before my feet start giving me trouble. And they were screaming. They're like, okay, you're done for the day. But Katie still had energy, and she wanted to stop at one more trail, and I was like, that's totally cool. I'll just sit in the car and wait for you. Well, what happened here?
Yeah, so I wanted to hike Rainy Lake Trail, which is supposed to be 2 miles. And I looked at the map and I thought, okay, I think I'm supposed to go this way. I don't know. There's only one trailhead here. So I just went down the trail, but I knew that I was supposed to have like a fork in the road at about half a mile, and that just never came. But I just kept walking. I was like, I don't know, maybe my distance meter isn't very good. And I kept walking. But so I don't actually know what I was on, because I don't think it was Rainy Lake, nor was it Heather Maple Pass, which was the other thing close by, supposedly. But whatever it was, at some point I had to take my shoes off to cross like a little waterfall. There was rocks, like not that much water, so I could do that, and that was nice. And there were a lot of little waterfalls, and I mean, I had a nice time, I guess. But
Yeah.
there were a lot of silkworms hanging from trees. I kept running into silkworms, which was kind of gross.
I did pull one out of her hair later on that night.
But yeah, it was nice. But then after about an hour, I just turned around. 50 minutes. I was like, I should have turned around 30 minutes at 30 minutes. But yeah, so I don't really know what I was on, although I think it was part of the Pacific Crest Trail, maybe. I know that was supposed to go through the parking lot. But we figured out that Rainy Lake and Heather Maple Pass were on the other side of the road.
Directly across the street.
Which is really confusing, because it said Rainy Lake Trailhead, turn here. And that's where we went, and that's where I started the trail, was at the trailhead that said it was that.
I will back her up 100% on this.
I don't know what the deal was.
It did. The street sign directed us to where she went. But the next day that we will get to, tomorrow, was actually where she wanted to go. Mm-hmm. Now, as I was sitting there waiting for her, I saw 3 couples go up to the trail sign, look at it, stand there for quite a long time, start the trail, and then they would be back and in their cars and drive away within 10 minutes.
They're either smarter or they have less fortitude than me, or both.
So they were, all I'm saying, I wasn't trying to say that, but I'm saying that clearly they were confused
yeah.
as much as Katie was, but they somehow potentially figured out a little bit sooner and were like, this isn't where we want to go, and they took off. So when she came back and she was like, I don't think I was on the right trail, or I don't know what was going on, I didn't see these forks in the road, I did tell her, I was like, I did see a couple, 3 couples that went down there, and within 10 minutes were back in their cars taking off. So it was really weird. We headed back to the camp, but we did stop at Chom's one time because I wanted to purchase something. I was really hankering for some kind of a sweet tea to drink. Went in, got myself a candy bar and some sweet tea. I also asked them how much it cost to get my lawnmower blades sharpened, because I wanted to feel like, I was part of the community. They said, we don't do that here. Clearly, you are a tourist. So it didn't work. Anyway, I enjoyed the chocolate and the drink, but we did come back later to get me some cheese. Katie insisted on it. I did like the cheese. It was all good.
Oh, I got some salsa there, but I think it was a little fermented. It was a little sparkly.
Yes, we discussed sparkly.
Supposed to be. Yeah, I don't know. It may have made me sick, or maybe I'm just sick.
I've spent several days with her. I
say.
think I can say that could be a legitimate thing there. So, question to you. This was posed to me on the trail. What would you do if you woke up and your tent was filled with mountain hamsters? Because so that question was posed to me. I want to hear it. Leave your comments below. Let us know what you would do in this horrendous situation.
If Judah's tent was full of picas.
No, I don't want to know what you would do. What would you do if your tent was filled? I know what I would do. I would freak out and try to escape as fast as possible without crushing any of them, but I don't think it is possible. Anyway, that's where I go. But thanks for watching. We will be back with day 3 to talk about what's going on there. And that's all I got. Okay, that was a stupid outro. Thanks. Bye.